Hi, Claudia here from Create with Claudia. Thanks so much for stopping by. Today we're going to be doing an 18.5-inch Ohio star block. This block is also part of my 2021 Mystery Quilt Stars of the Prairie. This is my May block. It's the 5th block we're doing. And again, it's 18.5 inches. It's the Ohio Star, and here's my tester block. I like it. I did it all in purples for my testing. The actual quilt won't be like that, but for my testers, we went purple this year. The beginning of the video is actually just the block pattern, so if you're not interested in doing this mystery quilt, no problem. You can just watch and learn how to make the block. If you are here for the mystery quilt, there's just a brief instruction. There's some brief instructions at the end of the video, the end of the instructions, where you can figure out exactly what you're going to need for May. I'd love it if you hit that subscribe button. I always love new subscribers. Thank you so much. And I am on social media at Create with Claudia. The free instructions for this block and for my Stars of the Prairie mystery quilt are over on my website, www.createwithclaudia.com. So thanks so much for stopping by and enjoy the video. So here again is our block that we're making. It's big 18.5-inch Ohio Star. I absolutely love it. I think this would be so pretty on the wall, but it's also going to look really pretty as part of the mystery quilt for this year, the Stars of the Prairie. So let me tell you how much of each fabric and how to cut each fabric we're going to need. So I'm going to move this over just so you can see, get an idea of what we need or what it's going to compare to. First thing is the background fabric, and the background fabric are these squares here, the corner squares, and then this one part of this hourglass unit. So to make this block, you need the following fabric. From the background fabric, you need a fat quarter. From fabric A, you need a fat eighth. From fabric B, you need a 6.5-inch square. And from fabric C, you need a 7.25-inch square. And now I'm going to tell you really quickly how to cut it. First off, from your background fabric, and again, I'm using that pale green. If you are in the Stars of the Prairie mystery quilt, I use this every month as my background. You need 4 squares cut 6.5 inches. And continuing with the background fabric, you need 1 square cut 7.25 inches. From fabric A, which is this bright orange, I love this orange. From fabric A, you need 2 squares cut 7.25 inches, and fabric A equates to these parts right here, this sort of purple marble purple here. From fabric B, I'm going to put this on here so we have enough room, and from fabric B, which is the center square, you need 1 square cut 6.5 inches. And from fabric C, which is this bright yellow and orange floral, I love this fabric too, you need 1 square cut 7.25 inches, and that's fabric C. So that's what you need to cut, and that's how much fabric you need. So now the first thing we're going to do is make that hourglass unit. This is actually, even though it doesn't look like it, it's a really easy block to put together. So for the hourglass units, you need all of those 7.25-inch squares that we cut. And I'm just going to show you very quickly what that looks like. It's this part right here. It's this square right here. That's part of the whole block, and that's what we're going to be making right now. So to make that, you're going to need to pair the 4 squares up as follows. Of course, remember we have the 1 square of the background fabric, and we're going to need to pair that up. So the background square of 7.25 inches, we are pairing up with 1 of fabric A, which was this bright orange. So you're going to pair those up, and then you're going to pair up this one, which is C, with fabric A. And what you're going to do is you're going to place them right sides together. Line them up nice and evenly. And you're going to draw a line down the back of the lighter fabric. That looks like it's pretty good. Okay, so what we're going to do is we line those up nice and evenly on top of each other. We're going to take a marking tool. I use pencil on my videos just so you can see it better, but I would normally use a water-soluble marking tool so that it didn't stain the back. And you're going to draw a diagonal line from corner to corner. These are big blocks, so you're going to need a big ruler. Sometimes I like that smaller 6.5-inch, but not for this. This isn't going to work. So I'm going to make this one nice and dark just so you can see it. So there's what you get, and then you're going to repeat that process on this other pair that you made, and you're going to take it over to your machine, and you're going to sew 1/4 inch down each side of that drawn line. And you're going to do that on both pairs, and when we come back, I'll show you what we do next. Alrighty, so here we are. I've sewn down each side. I always use a light thread, so you probably don't see it real well. Let's see, maybe you can see it better on this one. These are my 2 pairs. And the next thing we're going to do is cut along that drawn line. So let me get my rotary cutter and my ruler, and we'll do that. And I'm just going to line that up. If you flip it over the right way. And just hold it down and get your rotary cutter and cut on that line we drew earlier. Whoops, that didn't quite. My blade must be not so sharp. Let's see. There we go. All right. So now you're going to split that in half, and now we're going to press those open, and I'm going to repeat that with the other squares that we sewed together, and I'll be right back and show you what they look like, because then we're going to cut them again. Alrighty, so these have now been pressed open. The next thing we're going to do to make this hourglass unit is we're going to take each one of them and cut it in half on the diagonal. And we do that with all 4 of them. The 2 that were with the background fabric and fabric A. And the 2 that were with fabric A and fabric C. So here we go. And there you go. There's definitely something with my rotary cutter. I better change my blade. I think it's time to change the blade. And I'm just going to go ahead and do that on the other 3, and then we'll take it to the next step. Okay, so these have all been cut in half, like so, and then we're going to pair them up as follows to make those 4 sort of units that are on the outside of the center block, but in the center row. We're going to pair them up. You're going to take one. Let me move these out of the way so we don't get confused. One of each. See how that's going to come together? You're going to flip them over, and you're going to match them up and pin so that center is nice and sharp, and then sew 1/4 inch down that line. Okay? So I'm going to go take that to my machine and do that on all 4 of them, and then we'll have our hourglass units. Okay, so here they are. They're all pressed and ready. Nice sharp points. I'm really happy with the way they turned out. I do want to point out I did make a mistake on this. You can sort of see the threads right here. I sewed them together one of them incorrectly at first. You want them to all look like this, so when you're sewing your pieces together, you don't want to flip it. So these 2 fabrics, your background fabric and your fabric C, are together. You want those opposite of each other, just like you want your fabric A opposite of each other. So next we're going to do is we're going to just check our size. These should measure 6.5 inches. You might need to trim them up a little bit, but I'm going to just double check it. And this looks like it's pretty much right on the money. I might have to trim it up just a little bit. What I'm going to do is find use this bigger ruler, find my 3 1/4 inch, which is the center point of, because you want the whole block to measure 6.5 inches. So half of 6.5 is 3 1/4. So I'm going to find that little measurement here, line up that diagonal line here. And yeah, I do need to trim it just a little bit. It's just a hair off. And that happens, that's okay. So let me get my rotary cutter if I can find it. Here we go. I mean, it's just a hair. There we go. And then you're going to square it up on this side. Now you have that nice sharp point here. And now we're going to look for that 6.5 inch point along with the diagonal line. And that all measures up. There's my 3 1/4, so I know that's the halfway mark. Hold that down nice and tight. And just trim. I mean, just double check. Whoops, well, that didn't work. I'm having cutting problems today. Watch out. That's always not a good sign. You got to be real careful with those rotary cutters. So there we go. There's my trimmed down 6.5 inch hourglass unit. I'm going to trim down the rest of them, and then when we come back, I'm going to put the whole block together. Alrighty, we are now ready to put this block together. Like I said, once you do those hourglass units, this is really easy peasy lemon squeezy, as my daughter used to say when she was younger. So here's that hourglass unit. You want that center, this fabric C pointing towards the center, and here's my center square. And then remember, we use these the pale green for the corners. There we go. And then you're going to take it over to your sewing machine and continue with that 1/4 inch seam. And I don't know if I mentioned that at the beginning. Definitely, especially when you're making those hourglass units, use a very scant 1/4 inch seam. You should come up with your 6.5 inches. They sometimes they're a little tight, so I don't give you a lot of wiggle room with that one. So definitely use that good 1/4 inch seam. So here we go. Here it is all laid out. Very easy to do. Next thing we're going to do is just sew across the rows and then join the rows together to make this 18.5 inch Ohio Star quilt block. So here it is. Here's my 18.5 inch Ohio Star. Isn't that a big burst of sunshine? I just love the way the oranges and the yellows came together and that pale green on the outside. If you are in the mystery quilt, stick around and I'll tell you what we need for that. If not, thanks so much for watching. So for those of you who are joining in on the mystery quilt, this is our May block. This is the 5th block. Let me see. Yeah, May is our 5th block. This is the Ohio Star. It's 18.5 inches, and we're making one of these. So it's nice and easy. One block, and you're done for the month of May. If you are interested in joining in on that mystery quilt, it is a free mystery quilt. Everything is available, all the pattern, all the information is available over on my website, www.createwithclaudia.com, and all the patterns are downloadable, so you can find every month the new block. I post them each month at the beginning of each month. And in December, we put the whole thing together and we have a quilt. And this year it's a bigger one. It's like a large double-size quilt. Okay, I'm back with the final block. Here's how it looks. I love the way it turned out. Love that bright burst of sunshine on this one. This is my 18.5 inch Ohio Star. It is part of my 2021 Stars of the Prairie mystery quilt. But you can also just make it. I think it would make a beautiful wall hanging. Here it is again in the original, my tester colors. This is the purple. So you get an idea. They're so big, if I hold them up together, you don't really see them. They sort of fold together, but that's what they ended up looking like. Really happy with this block. I hope you give it a try. I'd love it if you hit that subscribe button. I always love new subscribers. Thank you so much. And I am on social media at Create with Claudia, where you can find all kinds of things that I post daily. So thank you so much for watching and have a great day.